Welcome to Sexuality and Truth with Phil Lees, the podcast where we uncover the realities of youth, sex, and the impact of cultural norms. Today, we're beginning an important new series called Podcasts Supporting Families in Navigating Today's Public Education. And this first episode is titled A Time of Concern and Opportunity. Now, parents, let's be honest. We are living in a culture that often seems determined to shape our children before they are even ready to think for themselves. In the classroom, through social media, even through laws and policies, messages about sex, gender, and identity are coming earlier and louder than ever. And for many of us, that raises real concern. Here to walk us through both the concerns and the opportunities we have as parents is your host, Phil Lees.
Thank you so much, and hello friends, it's great to be with you today. Yes, these are times of concern. Parents are telling me all the time that they feel overwhelmed. They see cultural messages shaping their children, sometimes in ways that don't align with their family values, and they wonder, what can I really do? But here's the good news. Concern doesn't have to paralyze us. Concern can move us into opportunity, and that's what this conversation is all about. Let me give you a quick example. Surveys here in Canada show that by grade 11, about 76% of students have not had sexual intercourse. Yet, the cultural message says everyone is doing it. You see the disconnect? Culture is loud, but it's not always accurate. That gap, that difference between what's said and what's true, that's our opportunity as parents. Now, part of the challenge is understanding what's really being taught in schools today. Much of the curriculum is influenced by organizations like Planned Parenthood, the World Health Organization, and here in Canada, SIECCAN. That's the Sexual Information and Education Council of Canada. Their framework is called Comprehensive Sex Education. And what does it assume? That children are sexual from birth and that they should freely explore sexuality at any age as long as it's consensual. Parents, that's concerning. But there is another approach. It's called sexual risk avoidance. And this strategy doesn't just warn about dangers, it points to what's best for our children's long-term well-being. Research shows that young people who wait until lifelong loving marriage experience healthier outcomes in academics, mental health, relationships, and even financial stability. That's the opportunity in front of us. So how do we as parents, churches, and communities step into that opportunity? That's why we created something called the Peace Engage process. Think of it as a roadmap for families. It has 4 simple steps. Step 1 is called Engage the Facts. Know the research proving the negative impact of youth sex. Know what's really being taught in classrooms. Know the difference between comprehensive sex education and sexual risk avoidance. The evidence proving comprehensive sex education is resulting in more sexually transmitted infections, yet sexual risk avoidance programs are resulting in better health. No more guessing. Step 2, engage the peaceful process. Build a positive relationship with your child's teacher. Be a blessing, not a negative liability. A positive relationship with the teacher opens the door to discussions about concerns with the curriculum and the learning needs of your child. Step 3, engage your child. Ensure that your child is getting the healthy sexual risk avoidance message at home and hopefully at church. Because when kids hear consistent truth in safe places, it sticks. Step 4, engage the school. At this step, you will learn how to effectively communicate with the school. It is important to know that your voice counts. Schools have policies and parents can and should use them to effectively communicate the learning needs of your child. Over the next 4 episodes, we'll walk through each of these steps one by one, so that by the end, you won't just understand the challenges, you'll feel equipped with practical tools to act. Parents, let me encourage you here. You don't need to be a professional educator, and you don't need all the answers. You don't need to be perfect. What matters most is that you stay engaged. Research confirms again and again, parents remain the single most influential voice in a child's life. That's powerful, and that's why this series exists. To remind you that you are not powerless. You can guide, you can protect, you can influence, not with anger, not with fear, but with wisdom, with truth, and with love. So here's my invitation. If you haven't already, subscribe to this podcast channel. That way you'll get notified every time a new episode is released. And trust me, you don't want to miss the next 4 parts of this journey. This is a time of concern, yes, but it's also a time of opportunity. And together we can walk this path with courage, clarity, and hope.
That's it for today's episode of Sexuality and Truth with Phil Lees. We hope this conversation encouraged you to see that even in times of concern, families have the opportunity to shape culture with truth and love. Explore more episodes at peaceontario.com/podcast, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a release. Join us next time for episode 2, Engage the Facts, Know What's Being Taught. We'll unpack what's happening in classrooms and how you can respond with clarity and confidence. Until then, remember, as families, churches, and communities, we are called not just to resist culture, but to shape it with truth, with love, and with courage.